Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Kerilie McDowall, jazz guitarist, composer, and filmmaker. And I'm here on Easy Jazz FM Spotlight today to bring you a wonderful, wonderful artist and producer. We're talking about Rick Kilburn. You know him probably, you've probably heard about him through In the Zone, Rick Kilburn, the short film I made about Rick, but you may know him also as a multi-award winning jazz bassist and producer. And we're really excited to have him here today with us. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you, Kerilie.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have you here with me today. We're going to explore, your background and everything you've accomplished over your career. It's not just a couple of awards. You're now at the 20 award mark and counting. So it's pretty exciting to talk to you today. So let's start with your background. How did you first get into music? What led you there?
Well, what led me there was growing up in a musical family. My father was a jazz guitar player, and he was also the president of the Cellar, the original Cellar Jazz Club in Vancouver. That was an after-hours place that everybody who was in town went to after hours to play after their gigs. So that was from the late 50s into the mid 60s that he was doing that. And at around 2 years old, he started giving me ear training. And which was, when you look back at that, that's kind of weird. But my mother, he thought my mother was tone deaf. She wasn't. She could actually, if you sat down with her for a half hour, she could sing a scale. She was just tone illiterate, I guess one would say. Not a great word, but it gives the image. Anyway, years later, as a producer, I thanked my dad for doing that. And he said, well, I had to. You were tone deaf. So anyway, to this day, my mouth doesn't really connect with my ears, so I would never be a singer. But my ears work pretty well. Um, yeah, so that was the beginning of it, really. Um, and hearing my dad every night playing the guitar as I was going to sleep and sleeping. And, I mean, my whole life was listening to my dad playing guitar. And then at some point, I guess musicians would come over from that were in town from the cellar, and they'd get down on the floor and play with me. So I've actually uh, played on the floor with Wes Montgomery and and Buddy Montgomery and his brothers. Um, anyway, that I think that was another reason that I got into music was that musicians were just so cool, they always made me feel good. And well, that until later, if I played a wrong note, then it was a different story. But you know that one. Um, anyway, so that was kind of the very beginning of it all. And as time went along, when I was 2 years old, Dad bought a Les Paul guitar. And I remember in school, probably grade one, I actually stole the guitar and took it to school for a show and tell. And I could barely even carry it. Anyway, that was kind of neat. And the beginning of my performance career was that grade one where I played Blue Monk and God Save the Queen at my grade one Christmas party.
was
on
this
piano.
was this with a jazz feel or what was
Oh, I'm sure it was. I didn't know any other feel at the time.
I could just imagine God Save the Queen with a jazz
Oh
feel.
yeah, yeah, Ken, yeah, me too. I sort of cringe when I think about it, but that's okay. We all have those moments.
Yeah.
Um, when Dad had the was president of the cellar, he used to, they used to take me there and would, sometimes I'd stay all night and sleep, go to sleep on someone's knee when they
How
when
old
they didn't.
how old were you then?
Pretty young, I don't know, before probably around five or something
Hmm.
in that area. I haven't thought of it in so long. I don't even remember that age, but it was kind of neat because they would have parties at our place. My mom and dad would throw parties for all the musicians that came through the cellar. So, I remember as a young kid being around Elmo Hope and all those people, West Montgomery, and, at our house. And again, musicians, they were so cool, you know.
Hmm.
So that's kind of it kind of speaks to your question about how I got into music.
Yeah,
It was inevitable, you
yeah.
know.
I just wanted to mention, wasn't there a point where your dad introduced you to the great bassist Scott LaFaro?
Yes,
That
he
was a
sure
moment,
did.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
think about that a little.
Well, Dad was going down to the cellar. He, him and Mom had made some circles out of cardboard and put different colored aluminum foil over them. And Dad was going down to string them up to make a false wall at the cellar somewhere. And he took me along. It was on a Saturday. And we went down, and Scotty was there practicing. And I was introduced to him. And what a nice guy. He was really cool. Another cool musician. Go figure.
And he really
Anyway,
inspired you, didn't he? I thought that he really inspired you.
he totally inspired me. My dad asked me, he said, "Well, what do you want to do with music?" And I pointed at Scotty. I
Yeah, yeah,
said, "I want to do that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
fantastic. Yeah. And so okay, so that's how you first started. And then I guess, were you doing music at school as well as you were coming up?
yeah, I was. I started in junior high in grade 7 on clarinet, and that didn't go so well. And when I walked into the back room where the instruments were kept, and a friend of mine, Barry Miller, actually was playing the bass back there, and I got jealous. And I thought, that's mine. So at that point, I started playing bass at 12, and that was a good thing to do. I love the bass, still do.
Mhm.
Um, but Barry and I had a rock band, and I played my dad's Les Paul in the rock band, so that made me a hero. Everybody really looked up to me just because I had a gold top guitar. Anyway, that band was called Just Us Five, and that was from when I was 12 to about 15.
Yeah, and then let's fast forward a little to when were you performing with a major rock band for a while?
Yeah, actually, when I was 19, I joined a rock band, Canadian rock band
Oh,
called Chilliwack.
that's right.
And yeah, yeah, and I did some touring with them.
Hmm.
And When that ended, I moved to Edmonton because I heard that Dave Young was moving there to play with the symphony.
Great
And
bassist. Yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
thought, I want to go there and I want to study with Dave Young. So I did. I went to Edmonton, joined Dale Hillary's band to make money, and studied with Dave Young. I remember going to my lesson in 20 below weather. It was about a 5 mile walk, and I would wrap my bow up in pillowcases and towels, put it under my arm, and walk 5 miles in 20 below weather. Uh, get there an hour early. Dave would give me some tea, and I'd warm up for an hour, and then have my lesson, walk home, and stop at a local spaghetti place and have pasta before I got home. That
Yeah, we
was,
should mention that you're part Italian, aren't you? Yeah.
yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was probably the drive for the pasta, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll eat pasta anytime.
Yeah.
I make it. I love it. I make pasta and meatballs, all the stuff, the sauce,
Yeah.
and that's my parents got me into that when I was 12, making
Cooking.
a family recipe. Yeah.
Yeah, cooking. That's fantastic. So we're sort of at that mark where you were playing with Chilliwack, and then you somehow made it over to New York City. So how did that happen?
Well, that was a couple things in between. Chilliwack, then Edmonton with Dale Hillary and studying with Dave Young. And then I went to Boston
Mhm.
to go to Berkeley.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I didn't stay for long, but because I kind of had eyes on New York, I thought I want to go there and see what I can do. So when I was in Boston, though, I had some really great experiences. I got taken under the wing by Claudio Roditi. Under his wing, I played in his big band and his quartet. Claudio hooked me up with some gigs in town that I was able to go to school, and I think I made about $11 a week, which was enough for a sub sandwich a day and a quart of Budweiser. And yeah, it was great. While I was there, whenever Chet Baker came into town, I would play with him. And that was, of course, a great experience. And
Yeah, what was that like? What was
well,
that?
it was great. It was fantastic. He used to laugh at me quite a bit because I was pretty young, and pretty inexperienced. But I guess he must have seen something. But uh, every time we played, what's that tune? I forget. There was one tune that we played that I kept messing up going to the bridge, and he'd just laugh at me every time. And he'd start laughing before we even got there because he knew what was going to happen.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
but
Chet was really, I'm sure, a really great person to.
yeah, he was really good to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, he used to ask me why I wasn't moving to New York, and I just kept saying I'm not ready yet. But so while I was there, some of the people that I hung out with were like Billy Drews, Joe Lovano, John Schofield, and I played in Robert Fritz quartet. He was a clarinet, or is a clarinet player and composer, and he used to compose for the Boston Pops Orchestra.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and he played electric clarinet. He had a pickup on it, and so I played in his band. And as a matter of fact, he he was the reason that I moved to New York. But I'll get back to that. Um, so Joe Lovano and Billy Drews and I and a drummer uh, played together while I was there in Boston, and we went to Boston University and we did a radio show there, and it was a lot of fun. And what we ended up with was a tape. And I saw Joey years later playing at the Mount Hood Jazz Festival. I was there and playing, and he was there with his group. And we ran into each other, and he said, "Yeah, man," he said, I was just at home, my parents' place, and I was down in the basement going through some boxes. I found this tape that we recorded," he said, and yeah, it was neat to just get that kind of feedback.
Yeah, yeah. So you ended up in New York. Eventually you went to New York
Yeah.
eventually.
Okay. So yeah, I can tell you how now.
Okay.
Okay. So Bob Fritz, Robert Fritz now. Uh, Robert and his quartet, we were playing at a church tea in Allston, Mass. And there were two ladies drinking tea in the audience and one guy. There were three people in the audience. And we were playing for this. And we were playing this out jazz for a couple ladies drinking tea and this guy. Well, it turns out that this guy was Gerry Bergonzi. He was in the audience. Him and Bob had been friends for a long time, I guess. Anyway, Gerry and I kind of hit it off personally, and I didn't think, the gig was over, and I didn't think anything of it. And a couple months later, I didn't have a phone, so I get this note from somebody, my landlady, I guess, saying call this guy, and it was Gerry. So I called him up, and he said, "Hey, Darius Brubeck, his bass player, is leaving. Do you want to move to New York and play with two Darius and two generations of Brubeck?" And I
Dave
said,
Brubeck. Dave Brubeck. Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right." So
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, I'm in." And in September, I moved down there. They had a place for me to live, they had an apartment, and I started immediately to do some rehearsing and then a tour, or the first tour with Dave Brubeck and two
Wow.
generations. Yeah, it
What's
was.
that like? What was Dave Brubeck like?
Well, he was great. He was fantastic, and
An icon. What a pianist.
oh my goodness. Yeah. Well,
My,
I was like 23, 24 years old, and so uh, I toured with that group, and while I was with them, I got to do some gigs with them with symphony orchestra as well, which kind of stuck with me.
was that the
And
Carnegie Hall performance? Was that
no,
some
no,
other?
that's a different one.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Yeah, that was later, I guess,
Uh-huh.
or during, whatever, whenever it was. We played there. We played at Avery Fisher Hall in Lincoln Center many times, and
Oh,
you
wow.
know, all the venues, Chicago, all over the place. So
What an experience it must have been.
yeah, it was fantastic.
How old were you at that point? How old were you?
24, when I started.
Wow.
Yeah, and I made friends with Dan Brubeck at the time.
Still
He was,
friends
I
with. Yeah.
think he was 19,
Yeah.
and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an amazing. what a great connection to that family, and
Fantastic. Yeah, and
that must have been for you. I can't
uh,
imagine. Now, weren't you a little shy though? I think you had mentioned in the short film In the Zone with Kilburn that you were a little shy to perform sometimes, and that there was a bit of sort of discipline in overcoming that, as a performer.
yeah, I was very shy, and I still, even at 75, I still get nervous when I play.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just something I never got over really totally. But back then, I would actually disassociate
Oh,
and would have to force myself to get back.
oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough to get past that, but I managed to at least get past that to just nervous.
Well, I can just imagine the pressure you must have felt, performing with someone of the status like Dave Brubeck as a young performer, having to rise to the expectations of that, what that must have been like at such a young age.
Oh yeah, not to mention my expectations and my father's
Oh
expectations.
yeah, yeah. I guess there was that too. There was that too. Your father must have been really excited about that, though. I
Oh,
would
yeah,
guess. Yeah, yeah.
sure he
Well,
was.
yeah, and so okay, so you had this amazing experience with Chet Baker, and it led to, New York and the Dave Brubeck family, and meeting Dan, who you're still friends with today, who's just a wonderful person. I've met Dan and
Yeah,
liked Dan so much. And
yeah,
then there was a bit more happening in New York City. From what I understand, you were part of the loft scene for a while. And I was
yeah.
wondering if you could maybe speak about Sam Rivers and the Studio Rigby and some of the loft playing that you were doing both with Dan Brubeck and just that whole scene in general. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Um, well, at one point after I had just moved there, I don't know after how long, but I moved in to a loft in Tribeca with an avant-garde artist and avant-garde piano player named John Fisher. And we shared a 2,000 square foot loft on Leonard Street in Tribeca. And that was pretty interesting. John had been, he made sculptures out of bread, life-size sculptures of people out of bread. And they had polyurethane over them. And at night, I'd go to sleep listening to mice crunching on the inside of these bread sculptures. That can actually put you to sleep. You don't need sheep. Just get a bread sculpture and put a mouse in it. Anyway, um, John had a recording system, and so we did some recording there. And he had a band called Interface. And later, so he used to put on concerts in the loft too. 20 people show up or whatever. Later on, him and Dan and Chris Brubeck uh, got a loft space. Actually, Dan and Chris got the loft space on West Broadway. It was about, I don't know, 10, 12,000 square feet. It was the 11th floor of a building. And they went in there and put walls up and uh, put wood floors down. I mean, they really did it. And that became a performance place. They lived in the back, which was huge, and the performance space was huge. And it was called Environ, Environ. And a lot of great people played there, people from the Chicago Arts Ensemble, I mean, everybody in the avant-garde scene played there. Richard Abrams, Muhal Richard Abrams, and
Hmm. Yeah, who were some of no, I remember, when we did the film, you had mentioned that during the loft sort of scene, because we did a lot of filming. That the film we made was only 10 minutes, but there was we shot about at least an hour worth of footage that I'm still looking at, by the way. But there was that time during the loft period where like didn't Michael Brecker stop by and various
oh, that was a different loft. That was after I moved out of that loft
oh, I see.
and got my own loft.
But speaking of the loft, like there were quite a lot of really prestigious artists that you were, kind of jamming with, and
Yeah,
was Gerry Mulligan and Steve Grossman and Jerry Bergonzi, like were they all part of that too?
yeah,
Yeah.
they played there. What I guess what really happened there was the place was 1,100 square feet with
Hmm.
about a 22-foot ceiling,
Hmm.
and I had a really nice deck out back um, that looked up at the Empire State Building. It was on West 28th Street.
Wow.
At night, you could go out and see it all lit up. But there were three lofts in that building, uh, and and a flower shop down below, a distribution place.
Hmm.
So Jerry Bergonzi had the top loft. I had the second floor loft, and in between us was an author, like who wrote books, and that was that loft. Now, Jerry left his drums in my loft, and I had a Fender Rhodes, and I had my bass, and people used to come over because everybody wanted to play.
Yeah.
And I happened to have a place that they could come to play. So that that's the gist of it right there. Jerry was connected to all these people.
So
And
Michael Brecker would stop by. Who are
yeah,
some of the other people that people would know about?
well,
They,
yeah, I mean, you mentioned them as Steve Grossman, Gerry Mulligan.
yeah,
Um, Paul Desmond came over a couple times
nice.
just to hang out.
Wow.
And
What an amazing experience this must have been.
well, I mean, I was young and I was motivated, and I really got lucky. I had a long streak of luck, shall we say.
Well, I'd say you're still in that streak of luck. Listen, I just want to say now we haven't talked about the fact that you also developed an interest in production, music production, and jazz specifically, and that led to a long period of exploration for you with various Canadian artists later. But let's just talk about that New York period. You were weren't you kind of in all the top studios in New York, sort of picking up tips here and there? And how did all that happen?
Well, the bands that I was playing in recorded.
Mhm.
Um, like a band called Cosmology recorded
Mhm.
in New York. We recorded at Vanguard Studios. Um, we I recorded a fair amount with John Fisher and uh, some other people along the way. Um, so I got to record in places like the Record Plant and the main major studios, A&R Studios, which was Phil Ramone's studio.
So
Got to
you sort of
record
just
there.
picked up skills as it went along. Is that what happened?
The recording skills happened when I came back to Vancouver when I left New York.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and but my interest in recording was always there, right?
Mhm.
Right from when I was a young guy. I was
Mhm.
always interested, in recording. But I didn't really get into it until after New York. I started recording some people in New York, um, but the actual, the real beginning of my production career happened in Vancouver when I
And then
moved back.
you opened up a studio, a recording studio, isn't that right?
Yeah, Riverside Recording. But the journey to that was a little recording studio in my apartment, and then a recording studio in the basement of my house, and then I bought a warehouse and built a recording studio in that. And
Fab.
then, yeah, so that spanned a lot of years right there, just summed up in three statements.
Now, I was fortunate to record a demo with you way back at one of your smaller studios, but I'm kind of feeling upset that I missed out on the warehouse because that sounds like
No, that's where you did it.
oh, is that where I was? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. It's so long ago, I barely can even remember.
yeah,
It was quite a long time ago. But listen, so you recorded like we should mention, you haven't just recorded a couple of people, you've recorded hundreds of artists,
yeah.
hundreds. And that led to you winning many, like quite a few Juno Awards. I think there were at least three.
Mhm.
And which were the Juno Awards that you won? Can you talk about
Two
that?
of them were for the Hugh Fraser Sextet,
That's right. Yeah.
and w- uh, one of them was at the studio, a blues singer named Kenny Wayne,
That's right. That's
and his album won a Juno.
now, and then you also won West Coast and East Coast awards too, right?
Yeah, yeah, West Coast with June Katz and with the
She was
uh,
lovely. Yeah, yeah. I remember
yeah.
her in Vancouver when I was there. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, she had the cafe, the Alma Street Cafe for years, right? She was there. And uh, there were a number of those. Not coming to mind right now. This is all we're talking about history, quite a while ago. Excuse me. Um, and the East Coast was someone named Mary Berry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She is a really neat lady.
Now, you recorded many artists. Were there any highlights during that period of people that you really enjoyed working with?
Yeah, probably the, shall we say, the crown jewel of my production was working with Norma Winston.
Oh, lovely.
I recorded her album, Best Kept Secret or Well Kept Secret. I forget exactly. We converged on Mad Hatter Studios in LA, which was Chick Corea's studio.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And yeah, and Norma and her husband and I got in there. They flew from England. I flew from Vancouver to LA. We got there a week early,
Hmm.
and we went over to Jimmy Roll's place every day to rehearse and to put arrangements together for the album. And then we went into the studio for 2 or 3 days and recorded it. And then I brought it home and mixed it at home and in Toronto. But the people on the album were Norma was singing and um, Joe LaBarbera was playing drums and Jimmy Rolls was playing piano and George Mraz was
Oh,
playing
yeah.
bass.
Whereas he was
And
so,
I was so happy. He was my favorite bass player.
yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, we lost him not too long ago.
Hmm. Well,
But
yeah, so Norma was it was a highlight, but there were literally, like, we should just say very clearly here that you worked with literally hundreds of jazz artists in Canada on here on the West Coast, and
yeah, lots.
we're basically the premier studio for many years where people would record in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And so,
Mm.
that's quite an exciting period for you, and then of course you moved to Vancouver Island, but sticking up, like, honestly, like, I kind of almost want to stay stuck on just talking about New York City and Vancouver because just so much happened there. Like, honestly, there's so many stories. I think we could talk about this for forever,
Oh,
because there's
yeah.
so many stories there. Um, for example, I remember you had told me at one point that there was a John Schofield connection, sort of like with Vancouver. What happened there?
Well, John was playing at the Jazz Festival, and
Yeah.
I got a call from the Jazz Festival people saying, John Scofield's in town. He's playing, I think it was at the Commodore, and he wants you to come down and hang out with him to say hi. So I did.
Oh, nice. That was,
Yeah, that was nice of him to do that. And,
yeah.
we went to school together, and even though I wasn't there that long,
Mhm.
but we did a short tour with Ayrto and Flora. And the band was Schofield, myself, Kenny Werner, and Jamie Haddad on percussion.
So you mean
Mm.
Flora Purim, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And that was cool. You know, that was cool. I really learned a lot about uh, how to play Brazilian bass. Ayrton just kept talking about, well, Ron Carter did this and Ron Carter did that, and this is how he did it. And he'd send me home sometimes at night to think about stuff, and then I'd come back and work on it, and come back. It was a good experience.
Yeah, speaking of Ron Carter, I understand he's been doing some film work with Diana Krall. Now, Diana Krall is someone else that you have a connection with. Could you speak about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I left New York, I came to Vancouver Island. I moved in with my parents for 6 months until I got things happening. And I started teaching at Malaspina College here in Nanaimo. But one afternoon, I got a phone call, and it was Diana. And she wanted to get together. So we did. And we started doing gigs together
And
in restaurants,
she was pretty young then. How old was she at that time?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not as old as I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you did a lot of gigs together with Diana, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, we did. We did quite a few gigs.
Nice.
And we went over to Vancouver and did the Alcan Festival, the competition that they had. And yeah, yeah, that was a great experience. She was absolutely fantastic to work with. She hadn't started singing yet. She was just playing
Really?
piano,
Oh, really? What a
at
time.
least not in public anyway.
Oh, wow. Well, so you were really at that early formative stage of her career, I guess. It sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just such a wonderful artist, here in Nanaimo, and on Vancouver Island. We're all just so proud of her and what she's
Oh,
accomplished.
yeah.
Sure.
No kidding.
Now, okay, so there's a little bit more. So I keep kind of thinking of things as you speak. I'm reminded of this, I'm reminded of that. So you came to Vancouver Island. You were recording people here as well. You spent quite a lot of time also performing as a bassist in Vancouver too, from what I understand. But then you kind of transitioned more into the production and kind of focusing on production work. And then you continued that here on the island, but there was also a period where you were doing some pretty prestigious work, I think, at the Banff Center. Can you just talk about that briefly?
Yeah, I for a number of years I did the recording part of the jazz workshop up
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
So um, people we'd be set up to record the Blue Room, the nightclub, and also the concerts. And people would come and workshop with me,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
and it was kind of cool. So it was basically my creation that, and the person responsible for asking me to do that was Hugh Fraser.
Oh, okay.
And because Hugh was up there for years, with different people. But while I was there, I mean, the people on the faculty were, it was mind blowing.
Well, tell me, who were they? Like who?
Well, Kenny Wheeler, for one, um, Jim Hall
Wow.
was there, Rufus Reed was there, Steve Coleman and all his band. Oh my goodness. I mean, it just goes on and on. Norma Winston was there too at some point. Uh,
So
oh
you
yeah,
were
Abraham Azenia was there.
now you were recording all these people, were you? Or
Yeah, pretty much. I've got probably have somewhere in a box somewhere a bunch
hey.
of DAT tapes of everybody.
Oh, you should. I would say I would so be interested in hearing some of this. Like, if you could ever release it, you'd need permissions, of
Oh, I
course.
wouldn't be able to release it, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
um, if I ever found that stuff, you're welcome to come by and I could play it for you.
I wouldn't
But
mind hearing
that's as far as it could go.
especially the Jim Hall, for me as a guitarist, that would be so exciting. I'm also
Yeah.
a big Steve Coleman fan too. Like just everyone you mentioned is incredible. Okay, so you came to the island, you also kind of maybe people what don't understand about Vancouver Island is it's more of a nature focused environment. It's still very urban, mind you, but it's kind of more inspired by nature and coastal living and the ocean and the rivers and the lakes. And I know you also have a real love for golf. Uh, that's something that you've really enjoyed, and so we met in a music store one day when I was buying a guitar, and I said, "Hey, Rick, how's it going?" And you didn't recognize me. I barely recognized you. The reason I knew it was you was because someone said your name. And then that led to me writing an article about you for Inspired Magazine
Hmm.
because I just thought you would be a great person to write for. I think at first I wanted to put you on the radio, but for some reason it didn't happen. And so we did the article. And then, I've been doing a lot of radio production and television production. I was a jazz radio host for 17 years, and I ended up doing a lot of television production as well, and TV directing and TV hosting. And at one point, they approached me and they said, "Well, who would you like to shoot? Like, we're going to give you a camera team. Go out and shoot something." And I immediately thought of you. And I remember I'd asked you, and you said no. And of course, it's not because you were being cranky or anything. I just think, you've always been a very modest and humble person. It wasn't something maybe that interested you so much, but I kind of kept at you and eventually you said yes.
Good time.
I had to ask quite a few times. Yeah.
Sorry about
I wasn't
that.
quite begging, but I was really kind of motivated to do this because, as everyone's seen here, you're a great storyteller, and there's just so many stories there. And I knew it would be a fascinating experience. So I went out to your place, and your dad was there. Your dad let me play his guitar. I was so honored by that. And
Hmm.
I met your dad, and we recorded the short film, with the Shaw Spotlight team. And, it wasn't meant to be a film, it was just meant to be a TV short. But anyway, we went into your studio, we went into your dining room, we caught footage of you in the kitchen. We got so much footage. And then we put together this, I edited together maybe about an hour worth of material. And then they said, no, you can't use that, Kerilie. You have to cut that down because this is a TV audience, and we only really got 10 minutes. So I had to edit it down into a short. And I was working with a really gifted producer named Todd Jones, who, assisted me and sort of mentored me into knowing how to best produce this short. So we produced a short, and then I think at one point I said to you, "Hey Rick, why don't we try some of these film festivals?" Like once we'd made the film, it'd been on YouTube, it'd been on Facebook, it'd been all over social media and stuff, and it was on YouTube for quite a while. And then I took it down for distribution reasons, and but you know, uh, this led to 14 awards. So, you didn't just have the six music awards anymore. Now, because of your great storytelling and, film presence, 20 awards. And,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I should just mention, like, we won the Hong Kong International Short Film Festival in 2021, which was a huge honor. I mean, there were only maybe 14 awards at that fest. The Seoul International Short Film Fest, we picked up a Best Director there. We won Best Short Documentary from the Las Vegas Movie Awards, from uh, the one of the London film festivals, from the Toronto Film Festival of SIFT. We won a Best Canadian Documentary. I mean, it just goes on and on. And we won, Best Web and New Media awards from Hollywood, like three of them, because the film was a little unusual in that I had made it for four formats all at once simultaneously, which was very unusual. My mentor Todd said this to me, but I kind of really wanted to make it for film, make it for social media purposes, and for YouTube, and for theater with a couple of edits, which I'm working on now. But what an experience! Like, well, what has that been like? To kind of get into film and be so successful at it.
Well, it's pretty surreal for me. Um, you have had obviously, I mean, my input with the film was what? A couple hours of filming, right? You put thousands of hours into it, not just making it and having the vision for it, but also for promoting it and the whole thing. I mean, so for me, I just remember having a nice time, sitting down with you for a couple hours and talking.
Mhm.
And and then to have all of this attention turned on me from it is a little disconcerting at times for me, you know.
What's
And
that been like? Has it been strange? Has it been a little weird? What's it?
yeah, well, it is weird. I mean, that's a lot of energy to have coming at you from almost zero,
Yeah, yeah.
and because I mean, how many people have looked at it now and have looked it up on IMDb and all of that? I mean, a lot of people are
Yeah, yeah.
aware.
We actually had 1.47 billion hits
Yeah.
as a cast. So that's our whole cast with that short film. We had that many hits on IMDb Pro. When I went and decided to do the stats, I almost fell right over because I'd never monetized the film. And I thought, oh no, well, I've really missed out here. But, that was really quite exciting to see that there was just so much interest in you as a personality,
Yeah.
and I think we should, look at and talk about at some point, revisiting it and maybe doing some more work in that area. And, that would
Yeah,
be.
that would be fun. I promise I won't make you ask three times this time.
Well, we sure had fun doing it. It was just so fun winning all those festival awards. It was really quite an experience. I really thank you for that, Rick. It's been,
Well,
yeah.
thank you. I mean, you kept calling me up saying, "Oh, we won another one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this one's in China."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we got Japan.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, with Japan too.
Italy.
Italy. Yeah, there was a best editing from Italy, and we did this really great music and environmental film festival in Italy too. That was really quite something. So, it was quite an experience. I went into Italy specifically because of your background. I thought people might be interested, and I think we won an award from Rome too, but something happened with sort of like the timing of whatever it was, and but there was really quite a lot of interest in you in Italy, but not just Italy, all around the world. People were just interested to hear about someone that had accomplished as much as you had. And, your jazz connections are really quite fascinating. So
Oh, yeah.
really has been such an amazing experience experiencing all of this with you. Now there's some recordings that, so I want to, first of all, I want to say once I get the post-production done on this short film, people will be able to see you performing in the film. So I highly recommend people check it out once it's available. But you've also done some other recording. There's been quite a bit of it, but maybe ones to note that I would mention would be the Miranda Sage. Wasn't there some John Zorn? Can you just talk about a bit about the some of that too? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Miranda I became aware of Miranda when Hugh Fraser uh, introduced us, and I still had a studio in my basement. I hadn't moved into the larger one yet, and I remember she sent over a cassette of some of her original music, and I listened to it. And I went, okay, and then we just started working together. I don't know how many CDs I made with her, maybe three.
Mhm.
Um,
With Don Thompson, though, mind you, right? Like
Dawn was on two of the ones that I made, yeah, with her.
so in case people don't know internationally who Don Thompson is, he's Order of Canada recipient, our highest honor here in Canada. Bassist, multi-instrumentalist, composer, arranger, everything, everybody. There isn't one person here in Canada in the jazz scene that doesn't know who Don Thompson
Uh,
is. But
Numero uno.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not only that, he made those stellar recordings with Jim Hall that I grew
Oh,
up. And the Ed Bickert album was, I don't think there's one guitarist in the world that hasn't loved that album, So,
yeah, and that was recorded on Dawn's uh, tape recorder.
oh, was it really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dawn
no.
recorded it while they were playing.
I just honestly, that was one of my favorite albums growing up. I
Yeah,
also really love the Jim Hall work that he did. But so like you've had a close connection with Don. I think Don is still in Toronto. I don't really know what he's up to, but so you've had that nice connection with Don. I think he's been a friend of yours,
yeah,
hasn't he? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. He's really a great man. He was on the faculty at Bant,
Hmm.
and I remember. Uh, so here we go again, playing bass, being nervous. The faculty concert.
Oh yeah.
Jim Hall. Okay.
Oh wow,
All
really?
these guys. Don
Oh,
Thompson was playing bass,
uh-huh.
and he said, just before going on, he said, Rick, I'm going to go over, I'm going to play vibes after the bass. He said, you play bass.
Yeah, because Don plays bass too. People
Yeah,
don't.
so you know what kind of a trail was leading up to the bandstand when I went up.
You were nervous. Yeah, that's this is the thing about you, Rick, that I think everybody loves so much in the film. So you're very modest and very humble, kind of about your accomplishments. I mean,
Mm,
you wouldn't have been playing with Dave Brubeck at the age of 24 if you weren't accomplished. And I really love the solo that you played in the short film that we did in the Zone with Kilburn. It's a beautiful solo, but it's
mm.
also a really nice capture of your dad, who was a phenomenal jazz guitarist. Not only that, in the film, I don't know how old he was, but he's must be at least in his late 70s, early 80s, and he's been
80, I think it was 85 about. yeah.
And he was performing at such an incredible level, even at that age, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, his musicality really shines through on that.
Oh, it's so nice. Like,
His early playing, of course, as all us old people say, we were better back then. But he he was, really a lovely guitar player.
yeah, the great Jim Kilburn, we should say his name. It was Jim Kilburn. Yeah, the
Yeah,
great Jim.
yeah, and he, was kind of like he was inspired by, well, by Kenny Burrell, and boy, he could really play that style of guitar. Excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah. It really was amazing getting to meet your father and seeing your family home that you grew up in. We should just mention it's this beautiful sort of, you're not residing there anymore, but it's this beautiful it's kind of surrounded by this tall fence and it's really private and kind of like, kind of all this Canadian wood everywhere. It's kind of like an A-frame home with a lot of beautiful Canadian wood and a really nice rustic feel to it and
yeah,
open space in the living room area, great place to perform. And I can
yeah.
just imagine all the wonderful experiences you had there with your family. We should talk about your mother too, like just a bit because we forgot your mom, but didn't she have an influence on you too? Yeah.
No, sure she did. First of all, I'll just say that she was nature girl.
Oh,
She
I
could have
see.
walked into the woods and survived no problem without
Wow.
anything.
Wow.
And but she was really aware of music and she knew what was good. She knew what was not good. She knew why it
Mm,
was good or why it wasn't. And matter of fact, do you remember an album that Miles Davis put out called Bitches Brew?
mhm,
You
mhm.
remember that?
Yeah.
Well, I heard it and I thought, what's this? I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I was young and Mom loved it right away. She said, this is an amazing album. Well, maybe a couple years later, I started realizing and recognizing what it was. I just wasn't ready to hear it yet.
I was like that with Miles too. When I first heard Miles, I was like, to John Zosky, I'm like, what the heck is that? Like,
Yeah.
but for me, it went right over my head. Like, it takes a bit of seasoning to really understand what Miles Davis was all about, you know?
Yeah, that's really true.
Very good.
He
Yeah,
was pretty far ahead.
he was. Yeah, yeah.
Miles ahead. There you go.
So your mom was also obviously very much an influence on you too, musically. Yeah.
Very much. And she influenced me also in health matters and things like that. She liked to do yoga and all
Mm.
that kind of stuff.
You do
And
yoga, Rick? Or do you do
I
yoga?
used to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to do a class. My teacher talked me into going one level up, and I stood on my head and threw my back out. So I should have stayed in the beginner class.
But we should talk about you. You know, you're very active with golf. It's been a passion for you. So this is something you're quite serious about. Is your golf?
Well,
Yeah.
sort of, yeah. I started golfing when I was 60.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah.
Oh,
So, I don't play golf like someone that started when they were 5,
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know, and never will. I will never master it. Maybe nobody will.
mm-hmm.
But I love to play. I play every Tuesday with a group of old guys. As a matter of fact, one of them, when I first joined the group, was in his 90s. He was 92 or something.
Wow.
And he was from Scotland. And he had been golfing since he was 4.
Wow.
And so we went out on the golf course with a foursome, and he was in it the first time. And we hit the ball a few times. I kept chasing it all over the place, and he kept just hitting it straight down the middle and straight down. Anyway, we got to about the third hole, and he came up to me and he got in close and he tugged on my shirt And he said, Rick, have you ever considered tennis? I just about fell over. I loved it. I thought, okay, well,
But he's obviously someone that played all his life. But let's start. Do you have any other hobbies? Because we've really covered, I think, the whole gamut here. Like we spoke about pretty much everything that you're about, and it gives people a really good taste of maybe your career and what you've been up to. But I didn't really ask you if there's any aspects of your life other. Like we should talk about your current activities, maybe. What you're
well,
doing currently.
sure.
Yeah.
What I've started to do is something that I've been wanting to do my whole life, pretty much.
Hmm.
Um, well, at least until I played with Brubeck with orchestra, anyway. And but because of my production career and playing career, I haven't gotten around to it until now. And
Hmm.
I'm working on my second piece, and it's for uh, jazz quartet with symphony orchestra.
Oh,
So
beautiful. Yeah. So you're
I'm,
writing a symphony. It
oh,
has influence, but it's more or less a symphony. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just having so much fun with that.
Oh, I can't
And
wait to hear it, Rick. When it's ready, I'll be your first fan. Like you send it.
okay, well, good.
I'm really excited by this. That's fantastic. Now, haven't you also been mentoring some people? Like you've been mentoring young people all along. I know this about you, but there's one person that I think you're focused with on at the moment.
Yeah. Right now, I'm working with a fellow named Kenton Willem, or Kenny, people call him.
Mm-hmm.
And he uh, he went to Berkeley for 4 years. He did way better than I did in that way. Um, and he went on full scholarship.
Nice.
Uh, yeah. And he is a multi-instrumentalist. He plays saxophones, he plays flute, he plays piano, and he sings.
Oh,
And he's a very, very talented individual. And we're working on an album project for him.
oh wow.
And we've
Yeah.
been doing it for a while, and we will be doing it for a while longer.
Well, you'll have to let me know how that works out, and when it's ready, you let me know.
Oh yeah, you'll have to come over one day, and I'll play you some of this stuff.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you performing on that as well, or are you just taking?
I will be playing bass on
Okay,
it. Yeah,
fantastic.
and well, yeah. I mean, I of course put my 2 cents in about harmonic things and things like
Sort of
that.
mentoring him along. I mean, he's obviously a very gifted young talent, but
Very.
it sounds like you've sort of taken him under your wing a bit just to kind of guide him, maybe a little here and there, which is nice. It's nice to have a mentor like that. You were kind of mentoring me along too as we were making the film. I have to say that this just seems to be part of your nature. That's just a part of who you.
Yeah, telling people what to do.
Yeah, you've got some authority behind you, I would say. Yeah. And now, what about family life? We haven't touched on that.
Well, I have a wonderful wife. Her name is Anya, and a wonderful Scotty dog whose name is Molly, who rules the roost. And she makes sure that her routine is followed explicitly, and you can set your clock by
Oh,
her.
wow, wow, wow. So,
And Anya has an encyclopedic knowledge of music. I mean, you know, something will come on the radio, and within 2 notes, it's like musicians. Within 2 notes, she knows what tune it is, and within a couple more, she knows who did it. And it's really inspiring to be around that because
yeah.
I will know what tune it is, but the only lyric I know is basically the title of the tune. you
Which
know.
she a musician? Is as a
No, she isn't. Although she did play piano at one time, she's studied, I think, Toronto Conservatory, maybe.
nice. So
Yeah,
she has a
but
great mind. Sounds like she almost maybe even has one of those photographic memories. Almost it sounds like.
yeah, maybe. And she's an incredible gardener. We have a greenhouse, and she's
Oh,
got an incredible garden.
you're eating all
And
that organic food. I would hope. Yeah,
oh, it's fantastic.
nice,
Love
nice.
it. And
Island life, island life. Yeah.
yeah, and I've done some building for her, some things in the garden, like a deck with a trellis for plants for big pots and stuff like that.
Sounds
So
lovely.
it's fun. I like doing that. And my dad could do it, and I didn't know I could, but now I've discovered that I can. I guess I must have watched him.
I would say, as a producer, you have to know so much just about technical aspects of, putting all that stuff together. It almost makes you capable of anything, it seems. Like the people I know who are producers are brilliant people, Rick. Like I have to say, some of the most brilliant people I know are producers. I'm not joking. Like I've known quite a few of them. And so,
Well,
you're in a great profession there, and it puts you in a sort of into a category of very brilliant people, Yeah.
yeah, either that or I have OCD. It's one of the.
It's been so wonderful talking to you today. Is there anything else that you want to add about anything that I missed or anything?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I have had a blessed life. Uh, my career it really peaked early, but it's been with a lot of interest. It's been very interesting along the way.
So
I've
do you
learned.
plan on retiring now or
Yeah, yeah. Well, bass, is starting to hurt.
yeah.
So, I mean, it might be Kenton's CD might be the last of that. Um, and live recording, I've got one coming up August 22nd. I'm going to be recording Roger Baird, Miles Black, and Scott White on Denman Island.
Roger Baird is such a talent. Like he is one of
Um,
Canada's best drummer percussionists. Like he's phenomenal. I've seen him perform at the Nanaimo Conservatory of Music. I
yeah.
produced the concert. I was blown away by his mastery. And the
Oh,
whole trio was just phenomenal, incredible. Miles
yeah.
Black, Scott White, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I've recorded them a number of times.
I just love them. I wish I was like, I'd like to come over and shoot it actually. I don't have a camera team at the moment, but if I did, if I had access, I'd be over there shooting it, like for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be nice.
Someone should shoot it actually, because it's,
Yeah.
anyway, but that's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe somebody will on their iPhone.
yeah, you
Uh,
should put those movies together on the iPhone, especially if you get a tripod or something. But yeah.
yeah.
Well, anyway, Rick, it's just been so wonderful catching up with you today and hearing all the stories and learning a bit more about you. There were some stories that came up today that I haven't heard before. There's so much there. So always inspirational. You've been very inspirational as a creative in my life, and I know that you've inspired many people around the world. I mean, you even won the Las Vegas Movie Awards Best Inspirational Short Film Award, and there was a reason for it. And I just wanted to say thank you for the chat today. And I just kind of maybe ask you this one last question that I like to ask a lot of people. What would your advice be to young musicians coming up?
Depending on what they want to do with music.
Maybe if they were going to be a jazz artist.
If they were going to be a jazz artist, I would say start listening to all the masters at a really young age. And probably one of the best things that you can possibly do is pick an album of somebody you really love and transcribe every note off that album that they played and learn it and play it back and play it along with the album. And that'll get you a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what my advice would be.
Oh, great. Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you today, Rick. Inspirational as always, and I look forward to hopefully doing some more work with you in the future, if that can happen. And just want to say it's been an inspirational experience working with you. You're one of our great Canadian musician producers, composer, arrangers, and it's just been fabulous talking to you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kerilie.
Thank you.